In the quiet countryside of Greenfield, Emma Thompson lived with her father on a small family farm. Every morning before sunrise, she would tie her hair, pull on her worn boots, and help her father feed the animals, water the crops, and manage the fields. To most people, she was just the farmer's daughter, but inside her heart burned a dream bigger than anyone could imagine. Emma loved business, not the fancy kind with skyscrapers and suits, but the kind that helped real people. After finishing her daily chores, she would sit under the dim light of a lantern, reading old business books she'd borrowed from the town library. Her goal was clear. One day she wanted to create a company that would help small farmers earn fair prices for their hard work. Her father, Mr. Thompson, always supported her dreams. "You may have dirt on your hands, but your ideas shine brighter than gold," he often said with pride. But the world outside the farm wasn't as kind as he was. When Emma finally got the chance to present her business idea to investors in the city, she was nervous but hopeful. Wearing her simple floral dress and holding her neatly written notes, she stepped into a grand conference room filled with wealthy business people in expensive suits. As soon as she introduced herself, the whispers began. "A farmer's daughter?" "Here," one man murmured. Another smirked. "Maybe she's lost." The laughter that followed cut deep, but Emma stood tall, determined to prove herself. She began explaining her plan, a sustainable farming project called Green Roots, aimed at connecting farmers directly to buyers and reducing waste. Her voice trembled at first, but her passion grew stronger with every word. She spoke about fairness, innovation, and hope. But when she finished, silence filled the room, followed by a chuckle. "That's sweet," said one investor, leaning back. "But farming isn't business. Maybe stick to what you know." The others laughed again, their eyes filled with arrogance. Emma gathered her papers quietly, her heart heavy. As she walked out of the room, she looked back once and whispered to herself, "One day, they'll remember this farmer's daughter." That was the moment Emma decided she would never let their laughter define her future. After that humiliating day in the city, Emma returned home with tears in her eyes but determination in her heart. She had been laughed at, rejected, and dismissed. Yet something inside her refused to break. Instead of giving up, she decided to prove her worth through action. Every morning she worked on her family farm as usual, but every evening she turned the small storage shed behind the house into her office. There, with her old laptop and a slow internet connection, she started developing Green Roots, her dream project to connect farmers directly with customers through an online platform. At first, no one believed in her. The local farmers were skeptical. "Emma, how can a computer sell vegetables?" they laughed. But she didn't stop. She began by helping a few farmers list their products online. She took pictures herself, wrote descriptions, and managed deliveries using her father's old truck. Within a few months, people from nearby towns started buying through Green Roots. They were impressed by the freshness and fair prices. Slowly, Emma's network expanded. Local farmers who once mocked her began asking to join. The website grew. The sales increased, and soon Green Roots became a name people trusted. Emma also started sharing farming tips and business lessons on social media. Her authenticity, a humble girl from a farm teaching others about sustainable success, touched hearts everywhere. Her videos went viral. Journalists started calling her the farmer's daughter with a billion-dollar idea. Investors who once laughed at her now sent her emails requesting meetings. But Emma remembered their faces from that boardroom and politely declined. She said, "I only work with people who believe in the soil, not just the profit." 2 years later, Green Roots became one of the fastest-growing agricultural platforms in the country. It wasn't just a business, it was a movement. Farmers were earning more, rural communities were thriving, and Emma had become a symbol of hope for young dreamers. One morning, while checking her inbox, she froze. A prestigious invitation glowed on her screen. The Global Business Summit. The same event where she had once been laughed at. Emma smiled softly. "Looks like life has come full circle," she whispered. "Time to go back." The day of the Global Business Summit arrived, the same event where Emma had once been humiliated. This time, she wasn't the nervous farmer's daughter in a plain dress. She was the founder and chairwoman of Greenroots, a company now worth millions and recognized for transforming lives across the country. As Emma stepped out of her modest black car, dozens of photographers turned their cameras toward her. She looked graceful in a simple yet elegant outfit, not covered in dust anymore, but still grounded in her humble roots. Her calm confidence made people turn their heads. Inside the grand ballroom, familiar faces filled the room, the same CEOs, investors, and executives who had once mocked her. Whispers spread quickly. "Isn't that Emma Thompson?" one of them asked. "The farmer's daughter who started Greenroots?" The lights dimmed as the host announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of the youngest and most inspiring entrepreneurs of our time, Ms. Emma Thompson, chairwoman of Greenroots Global." The room went silent. One of the CEOs who had laughed at her years ago slowly stood up, eyes wide. "Chairwoman?" he muttered in disbelief. Emma walked past him toward the stage, her head held high, a calm smile on her face. As she reached the microphone, the audience rose in applause. Emma paused, looking at the same hall where she once stood trembling. Then she began, her voice steady and powerful. "Years ago, I stood in a room like this, with an idea no one believed in. They laughed because I was a farmer's daughter, but I wasn't ashamed of my roots. I was proud of them. The soil taught me patience, the sun taught me endurance, and failure taught me strength." Her words echoed through the hall. The CEOs who once mocked her now bowed their heads in respect. Cameras flashed as Emma concluded, "Never underestimate where someone comes from, because sometimes the smallest seeds grow into the strongest trees." Thunderous applause filled the room. Reporters rushed forward. The same man who had once told her to stick to farming now clapped the loudest. And for the first time, Emma realized she didn't just earn success. She earned respect. After the event, Emma became the talk of the business world. News channels ran headlines like "Farmer's Daughter Becomes Global Chairwoman" and "Greenroots Revolutionizes Agriculture." But fame didn't change her. It only reminded her of the journey that brought her here. The next morning, instead of attending celebration parties or interviews, Emma drove straight back to her village. The roads were the same, the air still smelled of wet soil, and the sound of birds singing greeted her like an old friend. When she arrived, the villagers came out cheering. Children ran behind her car shouting, "Emma did it!" Her father stood near the old barn, smiling proudly. Tears glimmered in his eyes as she stepped out. "You made the whole village proud, my daughter," he said softly. Emma hugged him tightly. "No, Dad," she whispered. "We made it together. You taught me everything that mattered." Later that evening, she gathered the local farmers under the same oak tree where she used to study by lantern light. She thanked them for trusting her dream and announced that Greenroots would open a new training center in their town, a place where young farmers could learn modern farming and digital marketing for free. The crowd clapped and cheered, some with tears in their eyes. As the sun began to set, Emma walked through the golden fields that had once been her entire world. Her reflection shimmered in the pond beside the crops, no longer a shy girl with dreams, but a leader who turned those dreams into reality. That night, sitting by her window, she looked up at the stars and whispered, "Thank you for every no, every laugh, and every doubt. They were the fuel that made me unstoppable." Miles away, in a glass office in the city, the same CEO who once mocked her stood before a newly installed plaque that read, "In partnership with Greenroots Global, founded by Emma Thompson, Chairwoman." He smiled faintly and said, "We were wrong about her." And somewhere, deep in the quiet of Greenfield, the farmer's daughter who once walked out of that boardroom in tears finally slept in peace, her laughter echoing softly across the fields she had turned into an empire.